Do you want to make $5,000 a week selling final expense? I'm going to give you the exact formula to make this happen, and I'm going to tell you the special X factors you must have in order to realize success and make good money selling final expense. Hey there, David Duford here at DeFord Insurance Group. I train agents nationally to sell final expense in person and over the phone. I invite you to go to davidduford.com to learn more about how selling final expense works with my agency. We recruit agents who want to invest in their own business and buy leads, and also agents who want to learn how to sell without having to buy leads in our virtual call center. So check out davidduford.com for more details. So let's get right into it. Here is the final expense sales blueprint to help you make $5,000 a week selling final expense. The first thing we have to consider is your average final expense case size. And from there, we see how many policies you write, how many leads you need, and how much presentations you have to deliver in order to safely project what kind of activity you need to make the money you want. So first of all, average final expense case size. What I've seen in my agency is that the average agent who employs our final expense sales and marketing strategies averages around $800 in annualized premium. If you're new to final expense, the reason we care about the annual premium is that it's the metric that we use to multiply our commission base by to determine what kind of cash payout we get per policy. Now we need to figure out how many policies do we have to write a week in order to make $5,000. Well, that's the easy part. You take the $5,000 number, you divide it by the $800 annualized premium, and you roughly arrive at approximately 7 policies written per week in order to hit the $5,000 number you want. Number 2, number of leads. So now that we know how many policies we have to write a week, we now have to determine the amount of leads necessary to give us the best opportunity to write those numbers of policies. And this varies by selling face-to-face or over the phone, and definitely depends on the type of leads that you purchase. Here's some pro tips. Not all leads are created equal. The last thing you want is depend on the lowest of the lowest quality leads to get the kind of goal that we're describing here. My advice to you is this: buy the best quality final expense leads you can purchase. And in my experience, that's fresh and exclusive leads. Now, what kind of leads they are, we'll talk about that more in a minute, but the key thing is, remember that purchasing the best fresh and exclusive leads is non-negotiable if you want to maximize your chances of success. Now, for selling face-to-face final expense, I recommend 30 direct mail leads a week minimum, and probably closer to 40. And if I'm doing telesales, I like to work Facebook leads personally, and somewhere between 100 to 125 Facebook leads a week is what you need to hit your goals. Number 3, appointments and time. So now we've got the average premium. Now we've got the number of policies a week to sell, and we've got the number of leads we need to purchase to close that number of policies. We now need to figure out how many presentations do we have to run a week in order to realistically give us the chance to close set amount of presentations. Again, this depends on the type of leads that you're working. For example, if you're selling face-to-face, generating direct mail leads, I would recommend no less than 15 completed appointments a week, if not closer to 20 completed appointments a week. Because face-to-face agents who are good typically sell about half of their presentations and convert them into policies. Now, it's a little different if you're doing telesales. Conversion levels are lower. You're not in person with the prospect, so you can't door knock them to convert more of those leads, and lots of people don't pick up the phone and have a higher level of skepticism talking to a stranger over the phone that they've never met. So in my experience, a good telesales agent closes around a quarter of their full presentation, sometimes more, and that means you need to pitch approximately 25 to 30 full presentations a week off of the 100 to 120 leads that you get every single week to close the 7 policies that you want to do. Now hold up, Dave, it can't be that easy. Just buy a lot of leads, do a lot of activity, and run a lot of appointments? Is that really all it takes to be successful in selling final expense in person or over the phone and making $5,000 or more every single week? In one sense, yes, it really is that simple, but it isn't easy. There are X factors in this business that I've noticed with successful agents that have these X factors that other agents don't, and I'd like to hit those 3 points with you today because the behavior patterns that come from these X factors is something that you can teach yourself, and more than anything, you need to be aware of, because it's simply not about having a formula like what we've described. You've got to have that extra drive to give yourself the best chances of success in this business. Number 1 X factor, your work ethic. If what I've described earlier sounds like work, well, guess what? It is. Not everybody's going to want to do the work that's necessary or invest the money necessary to hit these kind of goals. I mean, we're talking about probably 5 to 6 days in a week, multiple days where you're working closer to 12 hours, and probably doing a lot of drive time or a lot of phone time to get these appointments. And it's a grind. It takes a lot of work ethic to exhibit and execute on this strategy for a long-term period of time. If you don't have the work ethic, I wouldn't recommend this strategy. You're probably not going to achieve it. And quite frankly, I don't even think you should be in this business if you can't commit to work, because this business ultimately is about seeing the people and having the work ethic to see that through. Number 2, your focus and concentration. What I'm about to describe is kind of an intermediate level agent problem I see over and over again from good agents with lots of potential. You see, this business is full of opportunities. People see that there's more than final expense out there as far as product to sell. So what agents start to do is prematurely jump into other products before they master the first one they've picked up. And what tends to happen is that their effectiveness starts to wane. They're not even that good at selling the new product, and they lose effectiveness in selling final expense, and many times start to lose money, lose motivation, and ultimately fail out of the business. So in order to achieve this goal long term, you really have to stick to it. You have to put blinders on. You have to say no to other opportunities and have the faith and focus necessary to see out this business plan in its entirety. And that leads me to number 3. You have to affix blinders at all times. You have to understand, in order to be successful, the riches really are in the niches. You can go super deep in the final expense and do nothing else and make way more money than most agents do in their entire career. That may mean you have to work more hours, see more people, build an agency, scale the agency. But the point is, even one product in its simplest form has awesome opportunity for the person that will just focus and give it their 100% entire attention. So that's my blueprint to help you make $5,000 a week selling final expense. Will you put this to work? More importantly, will you stick to the program? Because that is what's going to make the difference and the impact on actually achieving these goals that you want to. Learn more about joining DeFord Insurance Group at daviddeford.com/FAQ. Check out the free final expense sales and marketing courses for telesales, face-to-face, and leads that I give at no cost to you, and you'll learn a ton about the business just by watching those courses. Thanks for watching. See ya.